This was a nice bridge episode to kind of bridge the gap between arcs and really help to dangle some more plot threads out there to later be solved in the series. Hunter x Hunter, episode 37, Ging and Gone. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters and hunters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and intricately woven, story-driven, battle-filled tale of Hunter x Hunter. Our last episode, as a matter of fact, the last two, really kind of wrapped up and closed out the Heaven's Arena arc for us, and we finally got to see Gon fight Hisoka one-on-one, and really just got to see where he had progressed from where he had started, 4, 5, 6 months ago at the beginning of the Hunter exam. At the end, of course, of the episode, Gon and Killua are going to go and visit Gon's aunt, Mito-san, on Whale Island. And that's how the episode leaves off. And that's right where this one picks up. They actually, get to Whale Island, and it's kind of a neat, touching moment where, where his aunt is outside, doing some things, hanging some clothes on the clothesline, what have you. And all of a sudden, you hear Gon going, Mito-san, Mito-san, and he's running, and of course, Killua's in tow behind him. And it's cute to go and just kind of see this. This is very much a wind-down episode where there's not a whole lot in the way of any type of action that happens, but it's really that character development and that kind of let's drive the story and plot forward. Let's dangle some more threads out there for you, and then we can move on to the next thing, So it was definitely nice. It was a nice change of pace. It doesn't bother me at all when these type of episodes happen, and many times I actually enjoy them more than just the action-packed episodes, because those ones seem to just go by so quickly. As these ones, they don't drag on for me. They just feel really good and fluid and that sort of thing. So the first half of the episode is very much just kind of, Gon hanging out, introducing Killua to his, to his grandmother and to his aunt, Mito-san. And then, he takes, after they have a bite to eat and have baths and all this other stuff, they wind up going out and just kind of exploring the island. And it's kind of neat to just see these two kids just being kids. I mean, keep in mind that regardless of the fictional story and world that we're within, they're still 12-year-old kids. One's been raised from birth as an assassin, and the other one, obviously to some degree lived kind of a sheltered life, but was more of more of kind of like a nature, outgoing, fishing, camping, hunting, that sort of thing. At least that's what strikes me about Gon. Senses are very heightened because of that. But nonetheless, though, some of the trials and tribulations just so far that these two have been through are things that should not be thrust on anybody, let alone a 12-year-old child. So it was kind of cool to see that, because I have kids of my own, and it's always neat to just sort of see them experiencing life and just having a good time and whatnot. So that's really what the first half of the episode's about. They wind up kind of camping out and having this sort of little like bromance type talk where Gon is like, we should hang out and be together forever, and Killua kind of goes and is like, what? Why do you even say those things? And I think Killua thinks that it's something along the lines of like almost like a sexual relationship or something. You know what I mean? Like an intimate relationship. I shouldn't say sexual, or they're 12, but I don't think that's what Gon means at all. I think Gon's just basically like, listen, I grew up on this small island, and there was no, kids like my age except for this one girl. And, she doesn't seem to have an interest in yet. So you're like my first friend that's actually like my age that I can hang out and talk to about stuff, And so I think that's kind of where he was going with that. But it was really funny to go and see that, because he asks Killua what he wants to do, and Killua's like, I don't know. I just know that I don't want to be head of my assassin family. I don't want to live in that creepy-ass mansion. So I know a lot of things I don't want to do, but he agrees that for the time being, he'll help Gon to find his father, Ging. That's how they pronounce it in Japanese. They pronounce it Ging, but obviously it's G-I-N-G, so I don't know if it's Ging or Jing. I'm going to go with Ging for right now, and I'll keep an eye out if obviously if I get corrected on it, I will go to Ging. So, because I do try to get him the best I can. Nonetheless, though, like I said, he agrees to go and follow Gon to kind of wherever their paths may take them, or at least to the point where Gon can find his dad, because that's his next thing, his next goal. So anyway, we wind up coming in. They come back to the house and what have you, and he says he's going to stay for about a month, obviously, until he goes to York, New City. And what winds up happening is Killua goes upstairs and he's kind of making up the beds for a little sleepover they're going to hang out and have. And Gon is downstairs and he winds up getting into a conversation with his aunt and eventually his grandmother, who kind of pokes her head in and is kind of there for some comic relief. And we get some background into his history and everything else. We find out that he doesn't know anything about his mother. He was originally told when he was younger that his parents died in a car crash. And then we find out that that's actually what happened to Mito-san's parents, that they actually died in a car crash. And then Ging's father, so which would be Gon's grandfather, wound up going on some kind of fishing trip and disappeared. Was lost at sea or what have you. Wound up, so he's gone too. So the grandmother's like, I lost both my sons that way. Mito-san is actually Jing's cousin, and I guess Ging went and left. And when they were kids, they kind of get this background in history, and we finally see through a flashback Ging and how he actually kind of looked and everything, and he's kind of a cool-looking character. But nonetheless, though, the history between him and Mito-san is that they were, just kind of childhood friends, cousins, growing up. Didn't have many other kids to play with, so just kind of hung out with each other, and she felt like she was always looking at his back, always chasing him. He was always kind of ahead of her. And she used to go off and get lost in the woods and stuff like that, and the whole damn village would be out there by torchlight looking for her, and it was always Ging who would find her and blah, blah, blah. So she also winds up going and putting down this cool little box cube-looking thing and giving it to Gon, and she says, he left this for you, and said that the whole story is that when he was 12, he left to become a hunter. He said he wanted something. He wanted to find something. Didn't say what that was, but he wants something, right? So then he goes off to be a hunter, and then 10 years later, so when he was in his 20s, obviously, and I made a mistake way back in the second or third episode going, yeah, what's this dude's deal? How did he have a kid when he was 12? Because I was like, well, fiction or not, that's weird. So he comes back, obviously at the age of 22, and, the seasoned hunter or what have you, didn't give any information about the mother, just, hey, we're separated, and, hey, could you take care of my kid, And that's the type of stuff that really just kind of irritates me. I mean, I don't know. We'll find out eventually, I guess, what Jing's whole deal is and why he wouldn't have even checked in at any point on his own son. But he leaves him this box and just dumps the baby off with the grandmother and obviously his cousin, so Gon's aunt, and then goes and takes off, disappears off into the world and doing whatever again. So so Gon gets a little bit of a background about his father, but doesn't really... I don't think it really sets well with him, Excuse me. I don't think it sets very well with him, and I think he still wants to meet him, obviously. He has that respect and admiration for him because it's his dad and he doesn't know his parents, But I know that I don't have much respect for him after just kind of hearing this part of the tale. Now, as more things come to light, hopefully in the future, that perspective, that thoughts that I have, the thought that I have about him, that may change, But right now, I just think kind of like, all right, bro, absentee parenting at its best, right? But who knows what the deal and what the circumstances, were or whatever the case is. But this Ging didn't seem to be too responsible a person to begin with when he goes and runs off and leaves his family, at 12 to go and become a hunter, and then just doesn't contact or anything to anybody. No word, no nothing, no letters. At least that's how they made it out for 10 years. And then all of a sudden he just stops by with a baby like, hey, can I dump my kid off on you? So anyway, though, the rest of the episode goes, and it winds up being that Gon and Mito-san, they wind up kind of talking late into the night, and she tells him everything that she knew about, obviously, about their childhood, their background, as far as growing up with Ging, just to give him some insight into who his father is. He's never heard his voice. He's never seen him that he can remember anyway. He was just a little baby when he was brought there. So, but the episode winds up ending up with him and Killua trying to get this box open, and Killua's like, do you mind if I try to use force, and Gon's like, yeah, no problem, I've tried everything, I can't get it open. So he's trying to twist it, and he's like, man, I should be able to break any normal steel box, So then he remembers the words that his aunt told him that when his father gave, he said, give this to Gon when he becomes a hunter. So then, so Killua was onto something. The first thing I thought of was the Nen, and Killua says to him, he says, what is it that a hunter has that nobody else has it, and Gon, simple-minded Gon goes, a hunter license? And he goes, no, you idiot, Nen, So anyway, Killua, or Gon is able to concentrate and focus and use his Nen, and he actually shatters the box apart, but there's a smaller box inside of it, the box inside the box type of trick, right? But anyway, the pieces that it shattered into, they looked at, and the pattern on the pieces is strangely familiar to them. It's actually the same pattern that was on that promise thread that Wing put on Gon when he was, when he obviously promised that he wouldn't train for the 2 months, wouldn't use Nen or anything like that. So it's very much it's almost like a mystical or a magical thing, that the steel pieces weren't held together by anything but Nen. And it seems like some magical force, but then when the Nen was actually used on it, it was able to break it apart and act as a key. Nonetheless, though, winds up using his hunter license in the slot for the smaller box. It opens up, and there's a memory card, there's a cassette tape, and there's a ring in there, right? And the ring has those strange markings inside it as well. So the episode ends with them sitting down and listening to the tape, and it's the first time that, and this is significant, because it's the first time in his life Gon's been able to hear his father's voice, and Ging says, hello, Gon, and this and that. How would you like to meet me? Or I bet you'd like to meet me. And that's how the episode ends off over here. So, that's just, to me, that's just really cool, because when you dangle those threads and those mysteries out there and what have you, regardless of what I think about Ging and his parenting and what have you, that's besides the point. To me, this is a cool thing, because we don't know anything about Gon's, history, about his parents, and I'm curious now about his father, about his mother, where he came from, why he just dumped him off there, so a lot of questions, a lot more questions out there, which I'm waiting to be answered, which I think is great. So, and especially on top of that, just the many applications and uses for Nen and the multi-layered onion that we're peeling back with that is just wonderful to see. So, that's where the episode ends off. My episode question for you, though, brothers and sisters, is ultimately, what are your thoughts on just kind of this backdrop that we learned about Ging, about his past, and really about how he kind of dumped Gon off and everything like that? Really just the whole backdrop and the little bit of history that we did learn about Ging. What are your thoughts on that? Leave your answer to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We look forward to catching all of you in the next Fun Nation. Remember to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and my other channel.